Well, they booby-trapped it. They booby-trapped it very badly. The Roman Catholic Church, somewhere along the line, through watching the dramatizations of people, picked up some little fragments of R6. And they make it look like it's continued forward into present time. But the truth of the matter is that the loyal officers were not all killed. Xemu missed. And they were not all killed, not by a long way. Although the civilization was battered, it still had weapons, it still had transport, it still had some semblance of organization, and the loyal officers who were at remote bases, who were airborne at the time, who somehow or another on other planets were not affected, suddenly turned around right after this great catastrophe, and the administrators and renegades which Xemu had brought in were not very effective, and a firefight ensued which put the finishing touches on the Galactic Confederation. The towns that were left and so on were just battered into ruins, where you had the renegades that had been hired and so on, and the administrators that had been loyal to Xemu were still trying to hold out. Within a year, he was under arrest, and within 6 years, the lot had been wiped out. The loyal officer was triumphant. Xemu was put with several of his cohorts in the center of a mountain, which is still on one of these planets, and in a wire cage, which is charged with an eternal battery. He's not likely ever to get out. And the loyal officers looked around. There wasn't anything left. And, of course, nobody could manufacture this or that or the other thing. And what people there were left, they couldn't obtain any supplies, and they couldn't maintain the civilization. And what little was left that wasn't battered to pieces simply went by the boards and vanished from history. There is a base on this planet, and it is so shredded away as to be hardly recognizable. Wherever, then, anybody tries to do anything about this, he's apt to get a flashback. So you mustn't go around talking about being the people who are going to save the planet. You are the people the planet obeys. You are the people who own the planet. You are not the people who are going to save the planet. And thereby you will save it. Now, I could give you much of the symbolism and so on which goes along with this, but you find it recorded. This, of course, man responds to, which is an exploding volcano. He explains that. He understands that. It doesn't re-stimulate him because he's not up to being re-stimulated. He just knows that that's all right. In R6, every man is shown crucified. So is the psychiatrist shown crucified, although the psychiatrist is a dominant character, and that's how he gets away with what he gets away with. He electric shocks people. The medical doctor is not really represented in R6. It is only the surgeon. The surgeon is shown cutting bodies to pieces. That's the right thing to do. Actually spreads the body down to just raw meat, down to a skeleton, and the skeleton is in agony, and then it too is chopped up. Anyway, every man is then shown to have been crucified, so don't think that it's an accident that this crucifixion, they found out that this applied. Somebody, somewhere on this planet, back about 600 BC, found some pieces of R6. And I don't know how they found it, either by watching Mad Men or something, but since that time they have used it, and it became what is known as Christianity. The man on the cross. There was no Christ, but the man on the cross is shown as every man. So, of course, each person seeing a crucified man has an immediate feeling of sympathy for this man. Therefore, you get many PCs who says they're Christ. Now, there's two reasons for that. One is the Roman Empire was prone to crucify people. So a person can have been crucified. But in R6, he is shown as crucified. There are certain things which make people ill, and that is when they get into certain zones and areas or positions which approximate the R6 position, such as a body lying in the rain with a rat below the cross, guaranteed to give people colds, and so forth. So they have colds from rain, yet they take baths and get wet and don't get cold. When they get cold, it restimulates frozen alcohol and glycol as a mix. And therefore they get into a dramatization. So the sickness is very closely tied in with R6. Quite in addition to that, but one of the volcanoes, Japan, on its explosion, gave a certain definite implant that tells people when and how to be sick.